Alright, video number 2 this Sunday evening is why did central government develop? And the reason I'm doing this, it's based on a number of students from last year who, right until really towards the end of the course, were not getting the difference between what happens and why does it happen. And being able to notice this in the question type is crucial, because if you look at a question that's asking you why something happened and you tell the examiner what happened, you're not scoring many marks for it. So if it says something like, assess the reasons for the development of central government in the period, continental possessions were the most important reason for the development of government. The need for war finance was the most important most important reason for the development of central government. Feudalism was the most important reason for the development of government. Royal officials was the most important reason for the development of central government. The kings were the most important reason for the development of central government. I'll let you into a secret. All of those questions are exactly the same. They're just asking you, why did central government develop? It's not asking you, what is the exchequer? What is the familiar regis? It's not asking you that. It's asking you, why did these things develop? And this is for me, this is much better than the other questions. This is much more interesting, and I think it's quite okay to answer as well. It's a classic causation question. So when we're asking you to analyse in history, to analyse causes, what we really want you to do is to link things together, link these causes together and prioritise them. As always, develop a judgment, have an argument. Why does central government develop? Is it because the kings drive it through and they desperately want to create central government? Is it because the Angevin Empire and the continental possessions are so enormous that they have to? Is it that the fact that the king is absent, he's in these different places? Is it this that means that a central government body needs to develop? Is it the genius of men like Roger of Salisbury and Hubert Walter and others? Is it these men that drives it? And of course, I mean, it's a combination of these things, isn't it? But this is the joy of history, isn't it? You know, it's up to you to look at all of this evidence and make your own decision. So why does it develop? It's all of these things. So I think probably the easiest place to start is if you look at the difference, the big difference with the Normans and the previous kings, with the Saxon kings, is this cross-channel governance. It's having lands on both sides of the English Channel, and then of course, as the Angevin Empire grows and grows and grows, greater level of land to protect, to defend, requires a greater degree of sophistication. So positions like the Chief Justiciar develop because you need somebody at home to run the country when you're not there. I mean, Henry II, Richard I, they're barely in England, and yet these periods, these reigns see some of the greatest developments in central government. So it's the fact that the king's not there to do everything anymore. Connected with this, of course, is the need to defend these new lands. So in order to defend or expand your lands, I mean, they're constantly at war. I mean, they're constantly at war with Philip and Louis, or they're at war in the Crusades. I mean, or they're at war with each other. They just don't stop. So they need to develop more sophisticated methods of generating income, which of course leads to a more sophisticated level of government. Things like the exchequer and these developments in justice, these are really tied up with generating more and more income. It's interesting to talk about the kings themselves, isn't it? It's Henry I sort of like jumps out at you with all of these ideas and potential innovations. Frank Warren would disagree, but under Henry I coming up with all of these innovative ideas about raising revenue, about centralising government. Was it him? Was it Roger of Salisbury? Was it some unknown people, unknown monks that we'll never hear about? And the same with Henry II and his drive to re-establish control following the anarchy. Was it Henry? Was it him? Was it others? Was it Glanville? Who knows? Talking about the Civil War and the problems of Stephen's reign, of course, this is a really nice one to talk about as well, because we see this breakdown in. It's a nice way to think about it as a graph going steadily up. Centralization, centralization, centralization. It gets to here, Stephen's reign, and we lose centralization. We go back to decentralization. Henry II is wanting to re-establish this desperately. He has to, because of continental possessions, absentee kingship. He has to, need for finances, all of these. So this is where we see this huge sort of spike, an increase in centralization under Henry II, because he needs to re-establish royal authority following the Civil War. I'm not going to talk about this now, but of course, running alongside this increase in centralization and royal authority, you've got the papal reform movement and this increase in papal authority, which is affecting England as well. So in some ways, we might argue that this increase in centralization is to do with countering the ever-increasing role of the papacy in English affairs that certainly the kings don't want. So yeah, the important thing with this, look at the question. What I strongly suggest you do, the first thing you do when you look at the question, is it asking me what or why? If you can just get it down to that one word, then you're going to answer the question correctly. If it's saying the greatest change in English central government took place in the Angevine period, how far do you agree? That's asking you what. What changed and what was most important. Make a judgment on that. Have an argument about what's the most important development. If it's saying to you the greatest reason for the development of central government in the period was the work of the kings, how far do you agree? It's asking you why. A totally different set of criteria. But again, you need to build an argument and make a judgment. Get that right from the start, and your life is going to be a lot easier. All right, bye-bye.